yesterday. I don't know exactly what we had here. Did you look in your gauge, Grace?
Ours is not up right now. It's taken down, so.
Oh, well, then you don't know either.
I don't.
What would you estimate we had?
Maybe an inch?
I don't know if we had that much, but
I don't know.
it don't take much to get it muddy this time of the year. That's all I know. And we were dried out pretty good, but you know the cow lots were in pretty good shape. But just even 4 or 5 tenths will get it muddy there again in a hurry. So that's all good because the grass is starting to green up here, even though it's only 36. It was 65 here yesterday. I seen on the thermometer, and spring is definitely closer. I don't know if it's here or not now. Probably have a hard time convincing our friends up north that spring is here in Minneapolis and such. And just seen this morning that a huge snowstorm is going to hit California and the high Sierras. Hey, and that's a good thing because the water, in the reservoirs all through that area are in desperate situation, and some of those reservoirs and lakes have filled up already with the rain they've had there. So maybe we can, get California and actually Nevada and out of the water crisis because that's a big deal, especially the Hoover Dam, that supplies water to an awful lot of people. You don't realize it, because it's something we don't think about it every day. But I know in the past 3 weeks or month we've had, I know a half a dozen people here from Phoenix, that travel back and forth, and the water in that area is in critical situation, and they talk about it's on their mind all the time. So maybe in fact we can get some water in that in the Colorado River to meet their needs. But hey, it's good for you to be back with us here this morning on KTUI 1560 AM, 94.1 FM, or Facebook Live. And we have I would say old friend, but how about if I would just say a current friend and almost a compadre to some degrees. Greg Aholt is with us here, and he's been here. He put my guttering on, and did that for many years. But he also is a customer here. But he also today we're going to talk about quail forever. But I'm gonna get in a little more hunting stories with him because he enjoys that. There's no question about it. That's his big recreation, and do you ride horses too?
Yes.
Oh, horses! I know your daughters do.
My daughters do. Yeah.
I know they really enjoy that too. But
we've been going to Eminence, Missouri for 30-some years, and when I had cancer about 11 years ago, I stopped that because I just couldn't stay on the horse, and then that all healed up. I've only rode probably 2 or 3 times since then, but my kids are, wow, they're living the dreams that their mother and I had of going out to South Dakota and all over the place, Arkansas, Kansas, just riding horses and enjoying 4 and 5 days, just enjoying it. Their mother still goes with them, but I don't. They're grown up enough they can go on their own now. They got husbands and stuff that are leading that trail, and me and my son go out and do a little bit of duck hunting and things like that, quail, pheasant, chucker,
all of the above.
Yeah, anything that flies usually is a target that's ours.
That's that's admirable. There's no doubt, and I'm after a few things that fly, and a few of those few things fly away too.
Well, you bring that up. For the last, I guess, 13 years, I've been teaching kids how to shoot, and old kids like you could take a lesson or two now and then also, because we forget about the basics.
Exactly, we do.
Putting the shotgun in the same spot every time, just like a bow. If you don't have 3 anchor spots, you don't hit what you're shooting at. And it's a lot of fun. And that's with Quail Forever. That's one of the things that I did, is I've taught youth and kids and women both how to shoot, because everybody wants to do it right.
And it's a skill, shotgun shooting is a skill that, my skill set has changed a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Because we had a neighbor here, Mr. Carr, that took me and my brother, trap shooting every week for a couple of years there when we were young. And, it wasn't abnormal for me to break 24, 25, you know what I'm saying, 25 birds there. I mean, it was a good night, but kind of kept those skills. But the older I get, okay, probably not, I'm probably as quick physically almost, but not mentally quite as quick. And does that make sense?
Well, I'm going to ask you, who are you trying to fool here? I know when you were 25, you were a lot quicker than you are now. You know what I'm
Okay,
saying?
well, in my mind,
There you go.
in my mind,
Oh, you're not going to get by with that one. I mean, come on.
in my mind, my body's too quick. My mind is
Right.
whatever.
There you go. There you go.
But my problem is, I know what my problem is. I start aiming other than shooting.
Correct.
And it's hard to get back. Now, if I go out there and practice, and go back to the range, and we do. We shoot some clay birds off our deck, a few times a year, but not nearly enough. You got to stay on that time after time after time when you get older.
When I started this wing shooting, I went duck hunting with some guys who had their own duck club out of St. Albans, and my first experience, I was using a Turkey Unlimited shotgun, and I had a sharp barrel and a full choke, and I'm shooting a steel out of a shotgun that was actually, could have been called a blunderbuss, because it was just throwing shells or shot everywhere instead of keeping it in a pattern. And I got done, they said, "Ahol, you need to take lessons. You can't hit the broadside of a barn." I said, "You guys, I think you're right. I mean, I've always been able to shoot turkey with it, but I was using lead instead of steel, which was a big difference. And I wasn't used to things flying 50 miles an hour.
Steel just am I correct? And I haven't did a lot of duck hunting, but steel is so hard that it less forgiving.
Well, it bounces off of each other
Okay.
when it's too tightly choked. If you don't have a cylinder or modified's what I normally shoot steel with, because it keeps the pattern together instead of bouncing them off and spreading them all over the place. But I was really disappointed in myself by only getting one duck that day, and I did go get lessons, but instead of me taking lessons, I took my kids to get lessons from a guy down at St. Louis Gun and Skeet, and Kurt Malden was his name, and he was great for sporting clays, and he taught the kids so well that here in the back I'm writing down all of these little lessons that he's telling them, so I could become a better shooter also. Then I started hanging out with some guys that every Thursday we would go down and we'd go to St. Louis Gun and Skeet and shoot sporting clays. And when you shoot with people that are better than you, and you have to buy them lunch if you're the low man on totem pole, you try to get a little bit better as you go. The Hawthorne is a little expensive to buy 5 guys lunch at, but
it's a good place to eat.
It's a good place.
It is worth it,
It was all part of the business luncheon, you know what I'm saying? But got better.
That's kind of our go-to place during the week when Karen and I want to get out. That's a great place.
Yes.
I mean,
always have enjoyed.
Free advertisement.
Yeah.
It is good. And that just a little bit about it. They've been in the family a long, long time. The people that own it come by through here when they go to the lake. But we're talking to some waitresses, you know, they've been open in 20 or 30 years. Some of those original people are still with them, so
Makes a big difference.
You know how the proprietors are, and you know what kind of place it is. Because Gracie's still with us.
Look at the smile on that girl's face. You heard that for now.
I know. Yeah, she's just bucking, you know.
Yeah, I know.
Well, Greg, it's always good to have you, and we want to highlight, you know, the main reason you're here is talk about Quail Forever, and you know, what a fight. You know, what an effort it has taken to try to get back to the memories that we once had about quail, and you know, and it will continue to be that because so much of the environment has changed. I was thinking about this week actually, you know, about what the difference of it is, because you know, in my neighborhood we try to watch, you know, with corridors and those kind of things, having good habitat, but my neighbor's got, you know, like 500 acres, you know what I'm saying, or 600 that he has control of, and have did nothing over the past 40 years other than try to create quail habitat on it. You know, he farms it a little bit. But, you know, there's a lot of environmental issues that, you know, Greg, I think, you tell me if I'm wrong here, that when we had quail, a lot of quail, you could go anywhere in you know 6 or 8 or 10 miles and find some habitable environment. You know what I'm saying, for quail to be. Now you got to search those places out. And is it a big enough footprint? That's my bottom line. Is it really a big enough footprint, you know, to have, you know, the genetic, you know, base and those particular things that you really need to have, you know, quality hybrid, you know, breeding in quail. If there's only, you know, 5 coveys, you know what I'm saying, or 3 coveys on 10 square miles, or you know, something like that. Right. That's part of the missing link, isn't it, or maybe not?
Habitat. That's the only thing I can tell you is you have to have the habitat or you can't have the birds. You know, we've got different areas and stuff like that are doing great with quail. I can show you Gasconade County, I can go show you Franklin County, I can show you right here in Osage County, or no, up the line in Osage County where there's good birds, and there's been a lot of effort, you know, in focus areas from the conservation department to put more habitat on the ground. But when you have no fur bearers that are, you know, being taken out, people aren't hunting, the coons are trapping the coons, or now we got armadillos, we got possums, we've got everything that's against a quail. I mean, you knew I had a game farm, and you know, I've seen when birds were put out, a covey that we put out takes off, and these guys get ready to shoot at them, and 2 of these little falcon hawks come down and grab them. You know, it's like, oh, wow, right there in front of us, you know, we saw 2 birds that just disappeared. You know, it's just, there are so many things against the quail, but if they don't have habitat, they can't make it. I was talking to Jennifer at Heartland Seed this morning. She said she had, in her 25 acres, she has an area that's nothing but flowers. You know, they have a planting of nothing but flowers there for the quail to come in, and after 20 years, she did finally get a covey of quail in there.
And bees and whatever.
Oh,
you
yes.
know, those
Yeah, it's a pollinator.
A pollinator.
Right. Pasture that she had, and she said she was doing really good because she got her covey of quail in there, and the next door neighbor had 3 beagles. Well, the rabbits love them pollinators just as much as the quail do, and the beagles would run every other day through there, and she lost her covey of quail because they had to move on. They couldn't be disturbed, as much, so they went out to a different area and tried to find habitat. Well, when you've got a field, let's say a cornfield, that in our day, they didn't have Roundup. There were foxtail and everything else
Perfect cover.
growing up
Perfect
through
food.
and with the corn, and then when it was harvested, those seeds were right there, and the birds loved them. Ragweed, is another one. That's feeds so many birds, it's unbelievable. But we got Roundup, and we have now desert cornfields, if you want to put it that way. There's nothing growing in there once the corn's harvested off. You might get a little bit knocked off here or there, but
Not sustainable.
yeah, and when you got edge feathering on, some of your fields and stuff like that, the weeds grow up, on that upper edge. That's habitat. That's what they preach all the time.
It is. There, excuse me. There's no question about it at all. And even though you have those areas, those corridors, our riparian corridors here, we don't run the cattle in those areas at all. It's all grown up. There's, good habitat in those areas, but when you've got 500 acres and you've only got 50 acres of good habitat, guess where, the hunters go.
Exactly.
Guess where the hawks.
Yeah.
And
It's
so
a
they don't have a
smorgasbord. It's a
chance.
smorgasbord because they sit up above that corridor and they just wait for something to move, and there goes a rabbit. So down they get themselves a rabbit. They got a meal for their family. You know what I'm saying? And quail are the same way. And we've watched that time and time. You take a ride through Illinois, flat ground. You're going down the interstate, and you'll see 35 and 20 miles. Hawks sitting on a post.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, how can anything live through that? It's almost a vacuum system. If you are able to get quail to grow, there's something out there that wants to suck them up, just take them out. But we've done a great job of getting habitat on the ground. Quail Forever has always been an area where we use the money that we raise locally to pay for 3 biologists to help out every farmer that wants to get involved with Quail Forever's programs. They go out, they set up a program, and then Quail Forever helps pay for Roundup and things like this so you can get native grasses growing. And with that, we also pay for seed and different things like this. It's all been getting habitat on the ground. One of the other things is we keep at least 85% of the proceeds that we make at a banquet and use it for the biologists' salaries, as well as putting that seed on the ground. 15% goes back to corporate, instead of like a lot of groups where 85 goes to corporate and 15% is left with the local chapter. So we have a large amount of money and we use it up every year. That's why we have the 3 biologists out there writing programs for the person who has 20 acres or the person who has 500 acres. I can show you places all over Franklin County that have been touched, Warren County, Gasconade. We originally started right here in Gasconade, our local Washington chapter, because of the guys who had it in Owensville. Mm-hmm. We would bring up 200 people to their banquet, and that was getting to be a lot of people coming up just
Sure.
to have a go to
So
a banquet.
you offshot,
We offshot and had great members, great people who were just interested in one thing, being very open. And everybody that's a member in our group gets a email of where we spent our money every month. Every time we have a meeting, it gets emailed. We're very transparent on where everything goes, and you can thank Orville Koppelman for that
Yes,
one.
absolutely.
You know,
And Doug, and,
Orville's- yeah.
still got habitat galore.
Oh,
there,
yeah.
Wonderful.
And they have
wonderful
quail.
habitat. And they have quail,
You know, you can actually go up there and
Yep.
hunt quail.
Yep.
You know, where a lot of places you can't, but they took all the time to do it. But now there's people that have taken a lot of time and they just haven't been moved into yet. You know, it takes time for a group to go out and you flush them a few times and then they fly off and they go someplace else. You know, and that's what it takes.
And it takes a continuous educational effort. And there's not I don't think there's anywhere close to the people exposed to quail hunting today as there was when we grew up.
Oh, no.
Because they're not there, I mean, every farm used to have several coveys on it. We all kind of grew up in when we grew up in a rural area. I mean, that was a big thing. I mean, a squirrel was big, a rabbit was big, but when you kill that first quail, that was, because we didn't have a dog, you know what I'm saying? You just kind of walked out there, and there they go, but.
I can remember my first quail. My father-in-law's farm had these ditches running through it behind the college over at Union, and we went down there rabbit hunting. We'd rabbit hunt on Sunday afternoons after we got done in church. We'd come on, get everything taken care of, and go out and go rabbit hunting in the afternoon. Well, we were rabbit hunting through those ditches, and all of a sudden a covey flew up, and I swung over and I shot it, and I got me a quail. And it was like, wow, wow, that was awesome, I mean, and that's where it all started on the wing shooting is right there. We were more into rabbits at that time, but as time progressed and Greg got more into this thing, and also got the opportunity to get a dog, and once I hunted behind dogs, it was like, this is a total different deal, because you and I can walk behind my dog does all the work. Yeah. We follow, but that dog is working the whole field. You see him lock up, you know that there's something there because he's a good dog,
So much better than we, so much smarter than we, and
nose is so much better than
sometimes
ours.
they lock up and then they look behind you. What do you?
Or they
I
hear
need
that.
your attention.
Or they hear that.
Hello.
Boom, 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 and they go, well, I don't see anything falling. Hunt dead. Yeah. Yeah, it's always a bunch of fun, but that's where it started for me. And if I hadn't had that beginning, I don't know if I'd be there right now. It's
It is, and that's why it's we got to perpetuate, we got to educate, and you got to keep it out there, even though there's not that many opportunities. It's a worthwhile effort because we've all been around long enough, Greg, to know that things do change.
Oh, yeah.
They go one way or the other. Now it's going to take a huge effort here, and probably some genetic work, maybe, I don't know. Maybe we gotta breed in more aggressiveness in these quail. They have a bigger beak or something. I don't know.
You gotta realize that, there's been people for years trying to serrate and everything else to get, put 100 quails in a serrator and then let them come in and out of electric fences and all this kind of stuff. And it just doesn't work like a wild quail coming in because they don't have the opportunity to eat all the bugs that they need to eat to take and get the water shed on their feathers. And there's just a million reasons why they don't work. But man, when you get a couple coveys in an area, let's say just 500 acres, you know what I'm saying? And they work back and forth and they spread out and they spread out and they spread out. That's why habitat is something that's definitely necessary.
Even in those acres that are pristine for them,
right?
There is circulatory stuff happens in that.
Yeah.
And we're in that right now because the last couple of years I told you that 3 or 5 coveys, maybe that we had here. The last couple of years No, you know what I'm saying? I'm not sure that I could tell you where there's a cubby right now. You know, even though, is there one at your house
There's
yet?
one at our house.
Huh?
There's one at our house.
Of course,
Nice.
so great.
She's doing the right thing. I mean, you know,
What she is.
Sometimes, and I, up at Fayette, Missouri,
Yes,
deer hunting, found a cubby there, you know, and I told my cousin, I said, okay, here's what I want you to do. You know, just every 2 to 3 weeks, go out there and throw a half a bag of beans or corn or whatever, I don't care. Just make sure there's something there for them to eat, because the native grasses next door
don't
was
have.
taken out.
Oh,
You know, they went ahead and chopped that all down and are putting beans in it this
Right.
year. You know, so yeah, that's a feed again, but it's going to be a desert land come fall. You know what I'm saying? So I told him just to spread some out and you know, make sure that there's something there, because when I go to Kansas and I hunt on a place that has like 15,000 acres, and every 360 acre tract on 4 corners there's feeders there, and the guy watches the thing like a hawk because he sells deer hunts, and he can tell me where the quail are feeding when I get there, because he's got cameras that come to his, you know, phone every day, and it goes to show that they need a little more than what's out in those fields. And he has corn, beans, and native grasses, corn, beans, and native grasses, and they still need that extra,
sure.
you know, for us to find birds.
Well, describing Gracie's, you know, situation, you know, there's a 40 there is what there is in that quadrant, and you know, it connects on 3 sides to us, you know, but it's unique there because she's got a food plot right below her house. You know what I'm saying? Doesn't really bush hog. You know what I'm saying? Now, Ben put in what, alfalfa,
Yeah,
whatever,
mixed with something.
mixed or whatever. So the deer are there, but also the habitat right where she's at. There's a creek there, which they've always got water. Number one thing that
Yep.
they need to have. Not that they don't get a lot off the dew, but times of the year they got to have that water availability. But then right across that creek, on that same quadrant, we winter cattle there, okay, and we feed there and we let that grow up because now it looks like a mud hole, and it
yeah.
is. But you talk about fertility there, and you talk about ragweeds and
Oh, yeah.
you know, it's perfect, and we let that grow up all year. So you know, come nesting time, you know, we'll have them out of there, but that ragweed and that wildweed is very important.
Native grasses and the wild weeds are one of the biggest things. I talked about foxtail and I talked about ragweed. I mean, I've dove hunted, and you know, here we got sunflowers everywhere, but you go out and pick up the dove that you just shot, and there's ragweed seed inside of it. You know, even though they were around the sunflowers, they were eating the ragweed just as much as they were the sunflowers. You know, so it goes to show that they like that pretty well.
Exactly.
You know,
And speaking of doves, I mean, since we start feeding, finishing everything here, you know, we have seen a resurgence in doves tremendously right here because, you know, we grain the heifers just a little
Correct.
bit, you know, and you got that in there, and we got spread out on different farms. We're using a lot of corn, you know, and doves like that,
Oh.
obviously, and
wheat,
you know.
corn, you know, they love it all. I was at I went
probably like wheat better than corn,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, they do. We went to we were crow hunting a couple weeks ago, and we went past this place on 44, going towards Cuba. It was a farm place for people to take and bring their kids and go to
Heartland.
Heartland, yes. And they had a sunflower patch out there, and I was amazed because there was probably 70 crows in their sunflower patch just turned upside down, eating on these sunflowers that were turned upside down, you know, facing downward. And it was like, we need to go over there and talk to them boys. You know, I've never seen that many crows packed in one spot.
For the right price, I'll give you his name. But I'm going to question whether or not, I mean, that's a great place, you know what I'm saying, for kids and whatever. So, you know, sunflowers are unique. They're a draw to an awful lot of things, you know, and they last all year.
Yeah, I mean,
You know what I'm saying? They're there if you let them, you know, do their thing.
They were eating them just, you know, this was January.
Yeah.
You know, and the crows were even in there eating, you know what I'm saying? And that was, I'm sure, filling them up completely.
And if you diss that just a little bit, they'll be back next year.
Yeah.
Or, you know what I'm saying, if you blend that just a little bit. But
We have a dove shoot for kids every year. Larry Hanks and his wife donate a piece of property up there, and the Wild Turkey Federation and Quail Forever put on a hunt for kids. And, you know, it's just an awesome time for us to give back to the community again. You know, I said we have great people that work with us. Well, we've had also great organizations that gather with us to make bigger events and everything else to help pay for some of the, when you plant sunflower seeds, it costs you a little bit of money. You know what I'm saying? Because everything has to be, so we partner with Wild Turkey Federation, and, you know, that helps out also. But here again, I was talking earlier about kids and teaching them how to shoot and everything else. I'm finding more and more women are wanting to get involved in the shooting sports. And we have great partners who want to help us to put on events like that. I mean, if we talk to these people from the White Mule, they would probably say, you know what, you can have a shooting event right here in the back, you know, where they can shoot clay birds and they can take and, you know, all of these things we try
BB
to
gun
touch
shoots
on.
we did here numerous times.
Yes, you know, and that's another awesome thing. I hate to say it, but there's just too many women raising kids, and the women need a role model for their boys and girls to come in and teach them to shoot and how to be ethical and things like that. Not that they're doing a bad job at it, they're doing a great job of raising their families, but they need a man's intervention every now and then for things that you taking them fishing and hunting and things like this. Moms can do that, but a lot of times they're too busy because they're raising the family on their own to do so.
Yes,
So that's why we have these programs where,
That's
you know,
great.
we want the kids to sign up. We want the mothers. We were at Owensville. Oh, they had a deal at the Baptist Church in Owensville, a score your deer and everything like that.
Right.
And we found so many people coming up to us asking us about our kids programs, because 2 weeks after that we had 30 kids that we took out on a quail hunt. You know, they got to actually shoot 2 quail. You know, we put 2 out for each one, and, you know, it was a very great success. We've learned a little bit off of that. We need to stagger the times that these kids come in, because when you get 30 of them there and they get tired of shooting 22s, they get tired of shooting shotguns, and, you know, the dogs only work so fast. So anyway, we learn each time we put on a program how to tweak them a little bit.
Of course, yeah, and you know, a lot of, you know, COVID, I mean, we've seen a huge raise in gun purchases, you know, but if you go down and get in the weeds of that, you know, an awful lot of these guns that have been purchased the last several years are hunting guns. You know, because outdoor, and it's no different than horses. If you don't think that slurge,
Look at the price.
Go to Cuba.
Look at
and
the price.
Look what they are. You know, or white mules. You know,
Oh, my
we
goodness.
need our. You know,
It's time.
Our old mule. Well, she's really you know.
Are you saying she ain't what she used to be?
No, she's the old gray mare. But anyway, but stuff has just skyrocketed because of COVID, renewed that family or that outdoor activity
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, and it's
Camper sales, everything where you could go out on your own, B&Bs and going out to a house on the lake and, you know, renting them out. Everything surged where you could.
Yes.
I work at Innsbruck, and wow, they have sold so many A-frames and, you know, some of these gigantic houses because people just wanted a place where they could go and stay away from everybody, you know. But it's coming back. People are getting out, you know. It's a good thing. Like you said earlier, there's clouds out here. Well, there's sun still shining above them clouds, thank God. You know, and that's how I look at things all the time. You know, it can be cloudy, but I'm going to think about what's above there that constantly keeps me going.
and he is.
Yes,
You know,
he truly is.
he is there, and you know, it's you can feel him. You know what I'm saying, when you're with people that know that too.
Yeah, most
We were in church last night.
Right.
You know, to our sister church, and you know, it's at Cooper Hill, which is
No Cooper Hill.
unbelievable little church there, and our pastor does both, and we change back and forth on Lenten season. But I look forward to going to that area because it's pristine to begin with.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it's one of the few places in close driving proximity that is unencumbered with you know, a lot of large acreage there, a lot of undeveloped land, and it's just gorgeous. But anyway, yeah, it's a good feeling because those are amongst great people, and you know that, and you know, and it's all great. There's no
We
doubt.
homeschooled our kids. I should say my wife homeschooled our kids, and
And that's a good thing.
you know me. But, you know, in doing that and riding horses, we went down south quite a bit, you know, to Louisiana and different areas. And one of the things that always impressed us was yes, ma'am, and yes,
Yeah.
sir. You know, and that's one of the things that caused us to want to homeschool our kids so they would do those kind of things that we were very impressed with, you know, and it helped out a lot. I mean, it was a lot of work. We had a lot of trials and efforts and everything else, but, you know, there's never going to be a blessing like what has come out of our kids because of homeschooling. And they're all in their 30s now. I got one that's not in her 30s yet, but, you know, and she sells more horses than the rest of them, you know. She's
well,
a horse nut.
You know, you said this, yes, sir, yes, ma'am, and just in the past couple of weeks or so, they're putting a new pipeline in from Swiss down the Lion. You know, that
Right.
the pipeline. The company that's got the bid on that are from Mississippi. So the superintendent, you know, and the main job foreman, they were here and talked about looking for lay down place and yada yada, need this and that or whatever. And you know, these are very prominent guys. It was always yes sir to me and no sir. And I know I've talked with 8 or 10 of the people that's called for, you know, housing or straw or whatever. It's always addressed yes sir. I'm not used to that, Grace. You can work on that.
I wouldn't
Yes,
count
sir.
on it.
Yes, sir.
No, sir.
But it is amazing, isn't it?
Oh, it is.
And just that particular situation knows that there's reverence.
Right.
Not to us, you know what I'm saying, but they have reverence to a higher authority.
Generations of teaching has gone into that. I mean, I'm not going to say it started by years back when, you know, they had to address, you know, the farm owner as yes sir,
Yes.
yes ma'am, but it has come from there. I've hunted all over the South, fished all over the South, and I enjoy it every time I hear it, you know, and it's, I usually say, you don't have to call me sir, you can call me Greg,
Yeah.
you know, but they won't. They'll
No.
still,
it's-
yes sir,
It's
yes
instilled
ma'am.
in them.
Yeah.
And it's the way it is. But so we got this banquet coming up here. When is that? A couple of weeks?
Yeah,
from
March
now?
11th. Missouri River Valley Quail Forever, Washington, Missouri. You know, we have been, how would I say, blessed by growing this program with the help of everybody. I told you I was youth director for quite a long time, and just so happened that I got thrown into presidency here a few years back, and I can never say
Congratulations. That's
that
good.
it was me that they wanted. It was just that somebody was needed to be done, and I stepped up to it, you know. But everybody that works there and everybody that's part of it helped me every time I need anything, because hey, I can't do anything by myself. I need help. There's
We're
no
always,
ifs, ands, or
Greg,
buts.
and you got big shoulders. You're a big guy. But wherever we're at, we're always riding on someone else's shoulders to get to
Exactly.
where we are.
Exactly.
That, you know, that's just how life is.
Oh, and I've been blessed with it. You know, I mean, I started off as a young man with an idea that I could be in business for myself, living in a house trailer. That was on my father-in-law's place, and you know, that was 40 some years ago, and now we have been blessed tremendously.
Yeah.
You know, I still get to run around and do the things that I really enjoy, and I get to do it with my kids and, you know, other people, and you know, it's just a lot of fun. And it's that smile, you know, that you always get when you see your kids do well. Thank you very much. And you know, it just been awesome. This Quail Forever banquet, again, is just for us to go out and put habitat on the ground and put youth in a place where we like to see them, not in front of the computer. You know, because today's kids, there's so many of them that are faced with nothing. They don't have anything else to do. They can get it all right there. They can't step outside and say, wow, let's go play in the mud. You know, Mom might beat us, but let's go play in the mud. You know, it's kind of what we did. You know?
And I got the grandkids to do the same thing. But once they're exposed to this right here, we've got a couple 4-year-old going on 5, and you know, it's addictive. You can just,
Oh yeah.
you know, Karen lets them use their phone for just a few minutes, you know, but that's all they want to do if you let them do that, and that ain't good.
Well, I break them into the Ranger, the 4-wheeler, or something like that, or you know, going out and checking the ponies. My wife always goes out and feeds. He says, "You want to come check the ponies with me?" And they get out there, and you know, I've got pictures of a grandson that's in the summertime in July in the water trough, butt naked, you know, but he's just enjoying the heck out of himself, splashing around in there. You don't. They need that. You know, they need to get out there and get muddy and get dirty and play around, you know.
And being in nature, however that, or being close to nature, teaches that opportunity that we just can't teach.
Correct.
You know, we can tell them about it, but until you're out quail hunting, or until you're out horseback riding, until you take, you know, your calf, you know, and bottle feed that, or until you
Take it to the fair. Yeah.
help put flowers in or watch the garden grow. Those are, that's something we can teach them how to do, but we can't teach them what to get out of that.
Right.
And, you know, that's huge, because that's life-changing experiences that happens to them, and it'll be with them, you know.
I have to say one more thing about our banquet. This is our 13th annual. We reduced the amount of tickets that we're going to sell this year to 450 because
Wow.
525 last year was just too tight. So if you're wanting to get tickets to this banquet, you kind of need to get in there and get it done, because last minute tickets, we've sold out for the last 10 years.
Are you on Ticketmaster?
No, but you can take and get online and buy tickets. You know, but I don't even know how to do that, to be honest with you. If I had to go online to buy something, you might as well forget it, because I'll have to have one of my kids do it. You know, I myself just, if I can buy it with a little bit of cash, I get it done. That's why I can come up and eat, because I can pay cash here.
And we want to be there, and I still, we really want to be there for you. I checked right before I came over yet. We're still not absolutely certain.
On the fence, are you?
Well, we've got grandkids' birthdays.
Oh,
you know
yeah,
what I'm
most
saying?
definitely.
And
It's on a Saturday night. Usually Sunday is when they have the birthday party
Well,
for the grandkids,
but we also have
else a business.
we also have a fundraiser here.
Oh, do
you
you?
know what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
Yes, it is.
So it's hard for us, and you know that I'm passionate about it.
Well, I'd
Yeah,
come up and help you work, but I can't do that with the banquet going on.
Well, that's true. We will buy tickets, and then we'll do our very best to get there.
Well, you don't have to do that. if
Well, we
just-
support it in
yes,
every way
support
we
it. You've
can.
supported us for years. Years,
So
so-
I just wanted to explain that, and I know a lot of your people are listening, and I do believe definitely in what you're doing. There's just so much going on sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
that-
Well, I still say I'm blessed to be able to give time to Quail Forever. You know what I'm saying? And
Yes.
we put a lot of effort. Everybody in my group puts a lot of effort into this. And it will be an event, not a banquet,
Yeah.
because we always put on an event. I've had more people
No.
from the St. Louis area and even Jeff City area come down and like, wow, this is something. You know what I'm saying?
It-
It's not
it
a.
is. It is.
We try hard.
And
Always looking for something new.
those roots that I talked about, okay, those rural roots and those making nature available to kids. I was astounded by the first wild game dinner that Owensville High School had in their club, because the gym was full. It was like graduation.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But,
Right.
Eating possum and eating rabbit and
I
everybody.
don't think anybody brought possum in. They could have had some coon, and they could have had rabbit and squirrel and elk.
You
and
never
moose
know
and-
what all that is in there that you eat. But
I used to
every
sell-
grandparent, every great grandparent, every cousin,
Everybody was there.
Everybody was there
And brought a dish.
supporting them kids
Yeah.
and loving it. So
I
it's-
was always told when I sold my coons down at Soulard Market that I had to leave a foots on them because they wanted to make sure that they were a coon. So, yeah, that was back in the day when I coon hunted also, but had to leave a foots on it. So
I'm at war with the possum because one of them gets in our garage every once in a while.
eats the dog food, right? Get rid of the dog food. He won't want to come in there no more. But possums are good tick eaters.
Let them have them.
They eat their weight in ticks, I mean, it's one of those things that I hate to run over a possum because I know that they eat ticks up, and I hate ticks,
Hey, we are talking we are this morning with Greg A. Holt. Today he's representing the Quail Forever banquet coming up here in March the 11th at Washington. There's still some tickets available. It will be an event. There's no question about it at all. But we're going to take a little break here on KTUI 1560 AM, 94.1 FM, or possibly watching on Facebook Live, and have Gracie tell us what else is going on in our neck of the woods this weekend. Grace?
There is a spaghetti dinner and live auction Saturday, February 25th that is held at Rosebud American Legion Hall. Dinner will be from 4 until 7 and the auction is from 7 until 8. Tickets are $8 for adults and ages 8 and under are $4. And that is sponsored by the Gaston County Threshers Association.
So that's coming here too soon. The Thrashers will be here, and you participate in that. I know I've seen you there before.
Definitely enjoy them. Definitely enjoy seeing the old time things going on again.
Exactly.
Bail with a wire.
Gaston County Republican Club is having a meeting that is open to the public Monday, March 6th at 7 p.m. at the Swiss Evangelical Reformed Church Hall. Coffee and cookies will be served, and their speakers will be Superintendent Dr. Hardy. Presiding Commissioner Tim Schulte, Assessor Paul Schulte, and Jordan Lotman on the Franklin County Fire Department. So that will be held March 6th at the Swiss Evangelical Reformed Church Hall at 7. The Gerald Knights is having all-you-can-eat fish fry Fridays every Friday, February 10th through March 31st from 4 until 7. That is dine-in or carry-out, all-you-can-eat codfish and shrimp. That's at the KFC Hall in Gerald. This Friday night at the White Mule, we will be serving our steaks, country fried steak, shrimp, beef kebabs, and salmon. Sunday, we will have all-you-can-eat pan-fried chicken and roast beef from 11 until 3:30. Saturday is pizza, wings, and hamburgers from noon until 5, and then our steak dinners after that. And I do want to put out there, Lent is here, so every Friday we will be serving either catfish or salmon on our menu.
Catfish or salmon?
Yep.
I like either one of them, or both, Yes, and we'll be doing that, but we do realize, where your priorities need to be, during Lent, and, support your church first, because, they need it also. It's a tough time, in that particular community for a lot of particular reasons, so, we understand. We'll be here for you, but we understand.
We do.
So, what else you got, Grace? Is that it?
I believe that's all I have.
Greg, it's always a pleasure, young friend.
I don't know about that. I got a haircut yesterday. I feel a little younger.
We're headed your way tonight, by the way, or to the Washington area. There is a German presentation on Germans coming to Missouri, and there's a film and a banquet down in Washington. I'm kind of looking forward to it because, I'm part of that,
Right. Me
group
too.
that come over, and you too, and certainly there's family lineage.
Yeah. Yeah, most definitely.
With that, so we're headed down that way, but
Never forget your roots. That's one of the things that I, try to instill in,
yes.
everybody, because this world today would rather us forget the tussles and hard work and everything else that we were raised with and our families went through to be the United States that we are.
And we absolutely need to stay united.
United we are.
United we have to be. This political thing has got way out of bounds, and I just can't agree with, divorcing,
Right.
Other states. It's ridiculous, Okay.
It'll be a day.
I appreciate you.
No, I thank you for letting me come up and
We will
join
see you
us.
soon.
Gracie.
You live in probably dang near the good as area as Charlotte. That and our church area. God, you're blessed. And we